And good morning on your Friday. Happy weekend. If I can get the song to stop. Sorry, I was addressing another stream. Happy Friday, your weekend kickoff. You got to get through a work day. Maybe, unless you have to work this weekend, then I understand this is your Monday. But happy Friday to most who probably are getting through a Friday and are happy to enjoy a weekend. Weekends are getting nicer. The weather's getting nicer, at least in the southeastern United States. There could be areas, again, that are still underneath a pile of snow, of freeze, of whatever it may be. We understand that, but it is a sign that, here we are. It's early February, so there could be a storm left, maybe two, but we're starting to see a little bit of evidences of warmer weather, spring weather, the early vestiges of that. And I'm always in for that, always in for warmer weather. Good morning, Jake. Um, in a few days, Jake says it's going to be my 1 year as a member of the SLP family. Thank you, Jake. That's been a blessing for us, and love you too, man. Love you too, man. Jake is from the great state of Mississippi, and we collaborate here and there on some things. And he's online all the time. I constantly see the him up online on all kinds of platforms. We do a lot too. He may do some we don't do. I don't even know. But Jacob stays busy. Good morning, happy Friday to you. Let's get the verse of the day in. Boy, this is one of my favorites, and we're going to pop this up on the screen because I love for you to see the verse as well, or see the image as well as the verse. So here you go. Bada bing, bada boom. For I know that my Redeemer liveth, and that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth. Job 19:25. Absolutely, you better believe that. Jake says, "What do you think about Rumble doing shorts?" I'm all for it. They are I won't say necessary evil, but it does help your platform. They're funny though, and we get a lot of people like short attention span. People like to hit it and go. That's just where it's at. When we started the podcast way back when, and I'm an old school guy, there's one thing that I stood on and said, if because there were people that said, if you want to be successful, don't do anything more than 3 minutes. And I said, I'm out. That's not who I am. I said, we can do things like that we can load up, and we did, and we do, or now each of us individually do. But I said, that's not my vision. I like the talk show host image because I grew up on all those. I always mention Johnny Carson, but there are many others. And to me, it was a sit down where you have guests, you have maybe some funny bits, routines that we do, like Cornbread Nation's one of those where we have stuff like that. And I said, I see minimum of 30 minutes for every show, and that's where it's at. I don't do anything that's under 30 minutes unless it was a special announcement. Uh, Ads and stuff would be that. But as far as a show, man, I don't do nothing. I don't even do under an hour anymore unless it's just I have to get out a little early. It's just the way I'm geared. And I said, if it's going to be just sitting down and cutting short video after short video after short video, I have no interest, and I'm not going to do it. So I only had two requirements, and that was it. So that was one of them. So I like the fact that I look at them too. And it's amazing what people find entertaining or interesting or funny or informative or whatever, and others don't, because it's just the way we're geared. And the fact that there are hundreds of people, maybe even thousands of people in some cases, we've never had anything in the hundreds of thousands yet, but we have had those things in the thousands that people find interesting and they like and they give you feedback on, and you meet new friends, is amazing to me. So I think if they're doing that, I'm not using their service right now in that. I probably will once I get used to how they do it. But the thing is it's interesting. But the shorts for Rumble, it's not going to be that effective. It'll be effective to use everywhere else. I don't think Rumble's a platform that really cares about that. To be honest, most people in Rumble they're more into the longer show. It's just a different platform for that. So, I don't know, Jake. We'll see. What do I know? I'm just this old North Georgian 60-year-old dummy over here. So that's well, it is, and we do that. We load a lot of shorts up, broski. You just don't see them on Rumble. There's probably 3 to 5 that go up every day for us here at the old Radio Ranch. And you do that. I mean, it's again, people like them. It's quick. Hey, Pit Road Network, God bless you. And like I said, we cater to that crowd, but there are people that still just like to sit and listen to me for some reason or whoever it is. I don't know why, but I'm thankful for it. Building relationships has got to be more than on. Let me say this: building a channel. Uh, I don't know. It's such a precarious thing. Everybody's looking for that. They're gonna hit that formula that takes them into the stratosphere. I guess. I want the podcast to be successful in certain ways, absolutely, but I don't want it based on how many shorts I can make in a day. I'll say it that way. I'm not out when I'm out at the mall. I don't go to the mall, but I use that example. If I'm out at the mall, um, I'm not looking to do a video with every little thing that happens in my life. I can't live that way. Now, however, when I'm out, I will do a lot of videos if I'm going out to do that, but they're interesting videos. It's not gags or comics or anything like that. Usually I have done a little bit of that with a storyline that we did, but I'm not looking to do that all the time. It gets weary, but I like to do interest. I almost did one last night, and it was simply because it was funny. We mentioned it on the show last night, and I talked to I got off the show, and uh, oh yeah, I get it. Yeah, it is a way to attract people to the channel, and that's what we use it for. It's just so that because once they watch the video, they're either going to click on it and say, "Hey, I want to follow these guys," or I don't. So it's all it is. And so we pick up new friends all the time and interviews. But I'm an old school guy where I build relationships through a lot of ways, and I don't, I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing. I don't want to feel like I've got to keep doing the same thing just because somebody liked this one video. I don't want to be into that world. Feel like I'm chasing something it's almost like a slave to it. I don't want to be that. So I get all that. I definitely. But if I was looking for success that way and trying to just drive up numbers, then probably yeah. I just think over the long term, you're going to have people organically find you, and they're going to link up with you, and they like you. It's pretty amazing, people. Let me get back to my story in just a second, but we have a lot of young people that watch it from time to time. We do. Our numbers, and a couple of them, the analytics are pretty amazing. We do have a lot of people that are 55 and up. I mean, there is that, but that's the Facebook crowd actually. It is kind of catered to that older crowd in some ways, but we have other platforms where it is actually split evenly between a young, your 18 to 25, you're 25 to 35, and then on up. It's split evenly, and it's kind of amazing. We have teenagers that watch us. I mean, so it just depends. But anyway, I was talking last night how a cookout, they were being jacklegs. So my granddaughter, I get off the air last night, and my granddaughter says, "Can you go get me a French fry?" She wanted a hot dog. That's what she wanted, a hot dog. And so I said, "Okay, I'll just run down to cookout." So I'm sitting there, and I'm always dreading because I've had I hate the box. It's screaming at me, and the people cut you off. And so anyway, it was perfect sounding. I could hear them. I was like, "Whoa, okay." And the person taking my order was perfect. It absolutely was perfect. So I pull up. I'm the only one in line for her, and she's real nice and everything. And when she gets completely done with the order, I said, I want to tell you something. Your your customer service in that order was perfect. And she was like stunned. Wow, thank you. And I said, well, I have a lot of problems here. She said, really? And I said, yeah. I said, it's not you. I don't know if I've ever dealt with you. But I said, I get it. They're driving you people to be fast and all this. I said, don't ever change. Keep doing what you're doing. And so I asked her first name. Her name is Stephanie. I said, you're going to get a shout out on the Southern Patriots podcast for absolutely a perfect interaction and customer service. Uh, so, Stephanie, I don't know if you'll see this, but if you do, God bless you because that was great. Jerry says, good morning. Got to get a shower, then deliver some stew. Dr. Promise got the grocery store. Then we have all of our grandkids overnight. Big day. Wow, you can be wore out. How many grandkids you got, Jerry? I mean, that could be all of 3 or all of 30. I mean, how many do you have? I mean, I don't know. Oh, I have only 2 little ones anymore. He's got 4. So Jerry is the grandfather of 4. I have 2 little ones, but they live kind of out of town. I see them by video a lot, but when I do go see them, the other ones are all grown. The youngest one I have outside the 2 little ones is Kaylee, who will be 14 this year. So 14. Well, let's see. Actually, no, that's not right because I got one that's 11, 10, 11. Be 11, 14, 16, and will be 18 this year. So my oldest is going to be 18 this year. Boy, I feel old. But hey, it's great to be a grandfather. And God bless everybody this morning who are grandparents. It is absolutely wonderful. And I love the role of being a grandfather. So, but yes, I love that verse. For I know that my Redeemer liveth, and he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth. National Day today. It is Chopsticks Day. I never mastered the use. All of mine are live wires. Of course, Jerry, because you are a live wire. I mean, I would expect no different. So, I mean, that is perfect. That's how I would know that they're your grandchildren. They're live wires. I bet you're a great grandfather. I just know it. I know you give them the good stuff. And then you have that little bit of mischief, which is okay. Because I love that. You have that little bit of, you have that. Jerry's a guy that never really gets old because he'll always have that young, mischief kind of side of him that will keep him young and active in his mind and heart. Even if his body gets old and like it's been doing, wanting to betray him, Jerry will always remain. He will always have a laugh. He will always have fun, and that's a big key to a successful life. I believe is to have fun. He has 2 that's turning 18 this year, 1 that's 13, 1 that's turning 10. Awesome, man. Awesome. What do they call you? Grandpa, Paw, Pee-Paw, Gramps, Papa. But yeah, Chopsticks Day. I've never mastered the art of chopsticks, but I do like going to places that use them. It's funny to me that people that try to use them while they're eating so that they can say that they've done it, but they can't use them correctly, and they're constantly dropping the food. It's like, give it up. Just grab a fork. I mean, it is National Bubblegum Day. I've never been a fan. Have I had bubblegum before? Yeah, but I'm not a fan. I never ever go in a store and say, "Oh, I got to get some bubblegum." That's not me. I've never been a fan. So, but hey, there's a lot of people like it. In school, they drive you crazy if you're blowing bubbles and popping them. You get in trouble. Jerry, you ever have anybody popping them gum in church? You're trying to preach, and you hear somebody pow. Oh, you're taking your grandson to the Amazon bin store to see what we can buy to aggravate my daughter. They call me Papa. I love it, Papa. That's a good old one. That one goes way back. So Bubblegum Day. It's also National Frozen Yogurt Day. Frozen Yogurt Day. I could deal with it, but that's not wouldn't be my favorite thing. But yeah, Frozen Yogurt Day. It is National Wear Red Day. I'm out. I didn't know that. I have nothing red on except the red of my face sometimes. So it is National Red Day. It's also National Lame Duck Day. What the heck? It's recognizing the ratification of the 20th Amendment to the United States Constitution, or the Lame Duck Amendment. The term lame duck originated as a description of stockbrokers in the 1700s England who could not pay off their debts. The name later carried over to those in business who continue to do business while being bankrupt. That would be the U.S. government, right? In politics, a lame duck is a person currently holding office who has either lost a re-election bid, chosen not to seek another term. Oh, that would be MTG. Been prevented from running for re-election due to a term limit. I didn't know that was considered lame duck. Well, I guess it would be because they lose all power, right? They're out. So they're outgoing. Holds a position that has been eliminated. Basically, a lame duck is someone who is still in office but has no real power because their, quote, time is up. This doesn't mean they get to choose not to report to work. It means they will have to show up but aren't really starting any new projects. In fact, no one expects them to make any big changes. Before the ratification of the 20th Amendment to the United States Constitution, Congress had a 13-month delay between Election Day and the day the newly elected officials took office. I did not know that. 13 months. That's interesting right there. I never knew that. In other words, the lame duck, because, again, they had no power, was given a 13-month termination notice, crippling their influence, hence the lame or injured duck. The same rule applied to the president of the U.S. The 20th Amendment changed the date of the newly elected president took office from March 4th to January 20th. During a lame duck session, members of Congress are no longer accountable to their constituents. As a result, their focus can switch to more personal gain instead of acting on behalf of their constituents with an eye toward re-election. A year seems like a long time for someone to leave office. The 20th Amendment shortened this period from 13 months to 2 months. While lame duck sessions still occur, 20 such sessions have occurred since the amendment took effect in 1935. There's less time for sweeping legislation to be approved. Even so, lame duck Congresses have declared war, impeached a president, censured a senator, and passed the Homeland Security Act, among other actions. The lame duck period is also considered to be a time when the peaceful transition of power occurs, or should occur. Preparations are made for the outgoing president to leave the office and the newly elected president to take over the role. It's a time of transition, an opportunity for both the soon-to-be former president to step aside gracefully and allow the incoming president to begin service. So how do you celebrate or observe a National Lame Duck Day? You reflect on, if you are the lame duck, you reflect on what you have learned and your successes and triumphs and how much you made off the stock market. Ooh, did I say that? If you personally know a lame duck, say thank you. Not going to do it always on that. Give recognition for their success and support their future. Even today in everything you do, and share the information you learn about lame duck, and then share, let people know that hashtag National Lame Duck Day. Interesting. That's switched around some. I don't know. I've always thought that should be shorter between the times. I don't like that time because that's when they start doing a bunch of monkey business. Because they're not accountable anymore. I've always thought it should be really quick. When your time is up, you're voted out. I think it seems a little long to me, actually. I just wish they would speed that up. But that's a time when they take care of their buddies back home. They pardon people. They do a lot of different things. So I'm not sure. Good morning, Tim Wise. Thank you for the like. But yeah, that's your national days today. I just find those interesting. I did not know we had such a day for that. And I didn't know about the change. I've done a lot of study of the Constitution. I have a book on and do deep dive studies of where we're at and the changes that have been made. But that one I haven't focused on as much because of diving into others' amendments. But interesting. I didn't know that. In national birthdays today, there are several that I want to recognize. Interesting folks. Whether you like them or not, they have definitely made a mark, excuse me, on society in some way or another. It is Babe Ruth's birthday. Definitely made an impact on sports, uh, especially setting records as a baseball player, right? They made a lot of movies about him. It is Axl Rose's birthday, 63. I don't know if he's left a mark on society, but he did introduce us to the phrase, "You know where you are, you're in the jungle, baby, and you're going to die." So 1,000 years from now, they may not even remember who this guy Axl Rose was, but I think that's going to survive. It's Bob Marley's birthday. He was born in 1945. Boy, he's been dead since 81. I didn't realize that long. Actor Charlie Heaton, 31. I've seen him in some stuff. Rick Astley, the pop singer, is 59 today. It is the great one, Ronald Reagan's birthday today, who passed from this life to the next in 2004. He was born in 1911. Today is President Reagan's birthday. Lots of them. Let's see if there's anybody else that I even care to mention. I think that'll about do it. Well, we could mention one more. Eva Braun, who we know died at her own hands in 1945 as the enemy was closing in. Of course, if you don't know who Eva Braun is, you should. But if you don't, she was the companion to one infamous named Adolf Hitler. Died in the bunker, I guess. Who knows what all happened? I kind of believe it, and then sometimes I don't, because there's a lot of mystery to all that. So, but that's the birthdays nonetheless, and we do know from what we know that was her birthday was today. Short life. Short life. They went to the end and died. The reign of terror over. So anyway, and yes, for those that like Adolf Hitler, I do not. I'm just not going to pop up that dude. Bad dude. I don't care what he did. Bad dude. Absolutely nutso. Lunatic. Jerry said, Reagan to me was the best president we've had in the past 50 years and longer. They totally tried to just destroy him because of his actor past, He was so much more than they try. The press is so cruel. Like they would go back and look at comedy scenes he had, and they would say, really, this is what you're electing as president? When we had presidents that were in office acting in a comedy routine, a tragic comedy, a sad comedy, was called Leading the United States into the hole. But he was absolutely brilliant. I mean, the guy was a prolific writer. You can always tell a lot about a person by their penmanship. I have none. But to put a pen in that man's hand, he could craft. He did a lot of his own writing. He wrote a lot of his own stuff for speeches and stuff. He sure got help. They all do. But he wrote a lot of his stuff. He was a prolific writer. He's like Jerry. He had that little glimmer of laughter. The little quib. Always had that in his eye. And it's what made him. It was great in negotiation. He was great on the foreign field. He knew when to play hardball, and he knew when to just work on that relationship and get deals done. Wasn't a perfect administration, no, especially in the second term. They had some fails, but it was a hard second term for him. People started leaving. There's the Iran-Contra and all the different things that happened. But he was an amazing person. And I think, it's sad that he left us so quickly. Not really that many years after his service to the nation. And of course, he almost died in office, Penmanship, Lordy, about that. No, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person if you don't have good penmanship. Uh, it is a. Some say it's a sign of IQ. Jerry, we got the everyman IQ. I mean, we have a real good hold on life and understanding that you can't push this past a country boy. Country boy can survive, but I'm just playing. But he was an amazing writer. He loved his kids. He loved his ranch, and it absolutely baffled the Russians who this guy was. Like, how do we deal with this guy? I mean, he's out there on the horse. He's out there, cutting trees down. And he's sitting on top of nuclear weapons. He tells them that he's got, that he has, you know, nuclear Star Wars that he was going to drop down. So I didn't say you like everything about him, Broski. And it's no different than a lot of them in office had really bounced that whole thing around. Every administration has on illegals until now. So, and I didn't say I was a fan of hers. You didn't hear me say that. So, not a fan of Nancy, but I did like Ronald Reagan. I read his daughter's book. Talked a lot. Good morning, Dusty. I read his daughter's book. Was really informative about the early days of the California governor campaigns when he ran for office, which was fascinating. One of the more fascinating ones, I do believe that. Yeah, I was no fan of Carter, and he was from Georgia. One of the best books I ever read, and I wouldn't say I was a huge fan of his. Harry Truman. Harry Truman, who, if you go back to Missouri politics, that was fascinating to read about back in the day. To say they had gun in hand back in those days, that was a tough place. There was a lot of violence back in the early days of Missouri politics. Coming out of the war, especially. I'm talking about the war between the states. It was a rough place. But if you go back and look at Harry Truman and his rise to political stardom, it was brutal. I mean, it was fascinating because she also campaigned with her dad, and she saw that firsthand. So you had to be a tough guy to get higher up. And I want to tell you, old veterans loved Harry Truman because he was willing to do what most would not, and that was drop down the bomb. So every old veteran I had in my churches have always said they thought he was the last great president. So yes, I got you, man. I got you, broski. Got you. I got you. You got to get that coffee, man. Me too. I got a busy morning. It has become busy mornings about every day, except for maybe Saturday. But most days, most mornings are kind of heavy and busy, getting kids to school, wife to sons, and so we're in the wind, as they say, trying to get things done. But it is Friday. Should be a good Friday, I think. Hopefully it will be. In the news, and the president has. What is your take, and why is the insistence on taking it to Iran right now? What is the take on that? What do you feel like? Because we're absolutely, unless something major happens, we're headed for military actions against Iran. We're headed there. Trump is making almost daily threats against Iran, saying that the latest one is that the Ayatollahs should be very worried. What are they trying to get to? What is the end result here? I mean, because it seems an odd I get that they had the again the put down of the populace about him being removed from power. Is that the goal here? I don't think that's the goal. It may be a byproduct that they're looking for, but why now? Why now on Iran? Is this to show toughness for the midterms? Is it to put them in a box for the next 50 years? I mean, because even if you knocked out the Ayatollah, there's just as bad behind him, right? I'm eating my eggs with peppers and mushrooms, drinking water. Okay, peppers and mushrooms. I just eat the eggs. I'm not really into peppers too much. I can eat the mushrooms though. So we're within range, getting within range to have all the particular elements that we need to really take it to Iran in a day, a 24 hour, 48, 24 to 48 to 72 hour cycle of bombing runs, because that's about as long as it would take to take out every military option that they have. I mean, honestly, from your air defenses to missile capability. I mean, if we put the carrier group there and we unloaded, within 24 hours, most of it would be knocked out. Within 72 hours, they wouldn't be able to launch a bottle rocket. So, but what is, what's he after? I'm just asking. I'm not even proposing what it is, because I think it's multiple things going on here. But he is absolutely locked in on Iran right now. I mean, we got a lot of different fish frying, and this one seems to be the one that's in the main pot, the main skillet. Ron is at a tipping point right now. They're at their weakest point in my lifetime. It's more of a seize the moment thing. Okay, that could be true. I think that one of my opinions is a lot of times there is that, and Trump could get a big win here. Big win. That's always nice for a president. One of the things is, I believe, and you'll never hear it from the fellow people in the Arab world, but the Arab nations do not like Iran because they don't play nice. At the end of the day, they could all turn on each other, but most of your Arab nations do not like Iran because they are more fanatical. They're nutso. I mean, most Arab nations are after power, in their own little realm, as much money they can get their hands on. And they'll absolutely do deals, but they'll come out and say death to America. And then behind the scenes, the cash is being unloaded, and they're happy to help the United States in the region quietly. They absolutely would help the U.S. behind the scenes. Many Arab nations right now would help the U.S. pardon me, with information that would be detrimental to Iran, but they would never admit to that. Um, I would agree with this. It would also negatively impact, especially Russia. Russia and Iran have had big deals going on, and China also help Israel. That's true too. That is, Bibi Netanyahu would definitely be supporting that. So I would agree with those statements as well. Not that it matters to you if I do or don't. I'm just saying that I agree with that. They would definitely, and it's probably to keep Israel from being more involved there, because Israel senses that same weakness right now. But if Israel does it, it brings up more, it brings up new issues. So to keep them out of the fray, we move on them. Remember the move on, when Saddam Hussein launched Scud missiles at Tel Aviv. It has always been said that the Israelis had the planes on the tarmac getting ready for takeoff, and we told them, let us handle it. Basically, they were going to unleash holy hell on Iran, and the United States says, we're going after them. So just stand down, and we'll take care of it. So very big ding, 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 broski. Yes, yes. And that is a major partner to the U.S. in the region, whether we like it or not. Every administration, I don't know about Trump, but every administration has had Saudi money in their pocket. We know the Clintons have, because the Clinton Foundation, that bankroll was filled up with Saudi money. It's easy to follow. But every administration, to be fair, for the last few decades have had Saudi oil money in their pocket. It is you've hit the nail on the head with that one. Absolutely, I would, of all the statements you've made, that one right there is absolutely at the top of the list because they like that Saudi money, and we have a lot of contractors and a lot of civilian workers in Saudi Arabia. There's a lot of them. So there now we've got all these sporting events that are going to the Saudi Arabia and having special athletic events and stuff, or golf events, racing, whatever it is. The Saudi. Are we going to have an NFL team in Saudi Arabia? You'll be a real big fan then, broski, right? The Riyadh Royals. Can you just see your Bears going over and playing a team from Saudi Arabia, based in Saudi Arabia? But they're getting more into sports. Who knows? Soccer, baseball teams. You see the sheiks out there underneath the hot sun with the baseball players. Oh, hockey. Oh, puck this, I just imagine. Oh my gosh. I don't think they're doing expansion there in the near future, but who knows? Oh man. There is a radical part of their country, and they try to keep a tight lid on that. Even though they may agree with all they do, they'll never accept. This leader they got, he's brutal, man. What's that guy's name? I can't remember now. I mean, he. I know. I'm saying, man, they're starting to get. They're wanting the athletic events. Something tells me they won't have female synchronized swimming or gymnastics because they'd have to do it in the full garb. They're not going to let them do the whole bikini, the beach volleyball. There's no way they're going to allow that in the uniforms that they wear here in the U.S. There's no way they're not going to allow that. Oh man, it really is a brutal place, but they try to be. They play both sides of the fence. They're brutal, and then they're butting up to the rich and infamous around the world. They bring in all this stuff. It kind of makes them look softer. It's the same old group. They haven't changed. It's like putting lipstick on the pig. And that's a bad shot at pigs because that's a bad group over there. They're bad, bad, bad people in that leadership over there. Let's be honest. They never really. They didn't care that bin Laden was out there doing whatever he did. They just didn't like it that it made them look bad. That it shot back right to them, because his family was very involved in the construction industry in Saudi Arabia, filthy rich. Now, they disassociated from him publicly. I have no idea what they did behind the scenes. Good morning, Brother Broom. How are you today? Hope you're recovering well. I noticed you've been putting out a lot of scriptures on Facebook. Thank you for that. A little more ministry. We always need that in our day. You've always been good about that. I know you're feeling better because I can see that activity ticking up, and that's a good thing. So happy morning, Friday morning. To you. But yeah, I just wondered what, because we're definitely headed for a confrontation. Not that I'm worried. I mean, always I would be worried about a stray rocket, anti-missile, to hit one of our planes or something. That would be horrible. But I'm not afraid of what Iran. I mean, I think they could work through terrorism through the region. They've threatened our bases and stuff. We did take out, we've been drone the other day, I think it was, that came near our ship. To me, they're little speedboats, drones or whatever. If they get within 100 miles of our stuff, I'd say take them out. They try. They were trying to board. Wasn't that them trying to board a U.S. flag ship? I mean, honestly, they should drop everyone. They should not have a navy left. They've caused enough problem in the region that Iran's navy should be under the ocean. Yeah, absolutely, I'd agree with that. Just sink them on sight. That'd be a standing order. If they come across with drones, the little boats, what they are, speed boats with a gun mounted on them and whatever, all those would be sunk today. I mean, they would be done. And I absolutely would take out their air capability. They don't need it. And all he done is threaten everybody. We could do that in 24 hours. We could take out every bit of it. I would strike every plane on the tarmac. I would bunker bust those that were under the ground. I would take out every missile capability, drone manufacturing plant, whatever it is. I would absolutely. The world would be a better place without Iran having any capability to do any of that. So if we're going to do it, let's do that. Whether there's anything else that goes on, whether the Ayatollah takes a dirt nap or whatever, I don't care. But I say that because all they've done is threaten the whole region, everybody in the region. I mean, they're trying to be the bully on the block. They're always trying to threaten that Strait of Hormuz and all that. Just take out their navy, and just if we have to continue to run ships up and down into the region and just any Iranian flag except civilian ship, take it out. I mean, because that's all they've done is do that. Now, because I mentioned it, Broski's going to go back to it. Valentina Godardi and Marta Menegatti from the Italian women's beach volleyball team look good out there. All I got to do is mention women's beach volleyball, and Broski's like, let me mention a couple. I'll have to look up the Italian. By the way, we never have to worry about the Italian military, right? Because they shoot each other. War games with them is dangerous for themselves because they cannot. Thank you for the light, Daryl. They cannot perform their duties without hurting each other. So, but he says that he is favoring diplomacy, but he warns Iran of military options. These guys are nuts. So Iran's not going to make a deal. The only deal they ever made was with Obama for all that cash. And that really wasn't a deal because they did what they wanted to do. So there was no deal. They're not going to make a deal. But there's a lot of comments this morning in the news about this because we're streaming towards this. Representative Kevin Kiley from California said Thursday it remains unclear if Iran is stalling diplomatically and whether U.S. military action could occur, arguing that a mix of pressure on Tehran and internal unrest inside the country could shape a pivotal moment in history. On Ed Henry, the Big Take, Kiley declined to predict whether the United States would ultimately take military action against Iran, saying it remains to be seen how events will unfold. He said Iran's ruling regime is facing unusual constraints, even as concerns persist against its behavior and intentions. He described Iran as extremely repressive, accusing its leaders of inflicting untold misery on their own citizens and branding the country the world's leading exporter of terrorism. We could describe a lot of nations over there like that. I mean, but I get it. It's Iran. At the same time, he said the regime has been weakened, citing what he called effective operations aimed at limiting Iran's nuclear capabilities. The regime in Iran is both, number one, extremely repressive, as you know, caused untold misery to its own citizens, has exported terror, is the leading exporter of terror anywhere in the world by a long shot. They do that. We have the receipts to prove that. Go back and look up the Corrine A ship and all that was found on that ship that was flagged originally from Iran, although I think they had it flagged differently when they got into the Red Sea. That goes back a number of years. $50 million or $50 billion worth of arms. I think it's $50 million worth of arms they got off that ship. But number two is substantially weakened. So we'll see. I don't know. But it is definitely being talked about in the corridors of Washington. So I don't know. So let's pray about that. We got, somebody's sons and daughters are going to be involved in this conflict if it happens. So, but we'll see. You know, but the president says that the Ayatollah should be very worried. So he also said he wants a new nuclear arms deal with Russia. That was also in the news. So we will see. Uh, I don't know. We've got to be getting near the full military experience was supposed to be in the region right about now. I mean, I think we're pretty much about in place. Um, Daryl says if Iran becomes a hindrance to the alignment of the nations, there will be no more. Well, yeah, you're right. So, and that was my original question. What do you guys think about this? What is the reasoning for this potential military action right now? And what's the end result? What are they looking for? I think it's probably going to happen in some form or fashion because we're putting too much in the region. Remember when we were building up to, there was other conflicts we were building up to, and we sort of gave conflicting messages. One was Iraq, but they were moving a lot of things into the region. Well, that's what we're doing right now. We're getting everything in ready to do that. So the reasons to take down Iran, there are many. There are, just like Venezuela, there are many reasons. Yes, I would agree with those statements. So what do you think is the number one? What is number one reason from a presidential perspective that they would want to knock out Iran to a point that they're neutralized for the next 50 years? What is the number one reason? Is it the terrorism? Is it a message to Russia? That's one that hasn't been mentioned too much. You didn't mention it because Broski mentioned Russia and China. Is it to send a mixed message to them? You're probably right about that, Broski, that we're probably doing more, probably on the spy side and secret missions and stuff like that. We probably have things in place to absolutely take out a lot of stuff, be ready for that, neutralize capabilities within the country. And if I had to guess, I would say Mossad is there as well. I would say that because they're very interested in this. I think they're always there. I think they're always Mossad agents in Iran, secretly. One of the things about this is we may, have we neutralized their nuclear threat to a level that we said we did? They've always said that Natanz facility, even with those deep bunker busters, might not knock it out to the point that we needed. Is a lot of this being able to put a team on the ground to go down there and set the kind of charges deep within the earth that they need to really just blow that thing to kingdom come. I don't know, but I have read a lot about that facility over the last few years. It's not the only one they have, but it's the one they spent the most money on, and they buried that thing deep. And even with what we put down in the ground, which done some damage, absolutely, did it do enough? I don't know. I like you said, many reasons. I do hope for the Iranian people who just want more freedoms. The young people want to live a life of, just being expressive, being able to express themselves, when the young people are not allowed to the women are not allowed to wear jeans and, some tennis shoes down to the store and shop. I mean, they live a repressed life. They really do. I mean, they're not the only one that does that, but, they're sick of it. They're sick of, they don't like these leaders at all. They're sick of their country. They love their country. They just hate these leaders and what it's caused for them in the nation. So, well, that's true. If we inserted a Christian leader, I don't think it would last long. I'm not sure Iran has the capability to ever be truly free and not ran by the Muslim. Well, I would agree with that, but I think you could get somebody in place that probably wouldn't be as threatening, possibility. But again, like I said, the what's behind him may come up and be worse than he is. I don't know. Finish off the nuke program as well. Absolutely, we got to do that. If we're going to do it, you have to do that. You have to take out the nuclear capability for, so long that we're all dead. And we'll let the next generations decide if they want to continue to hit them. But yeah, I think so. I think you've got to do that. You can't have that regime with a nuclear program is death to somebody because they don't care if they blow their own people up. They don't. Most of those leaders over there, they talk a big game, but they're not willing to sacrifice themselves for the cause, whatever that cause is. Those leaders are. They're crazy. They're satanically inspired, obviously, possessed, obviously. They are all about just blow it all up. I mean, they don't care. So definitely I'd say that. Daryl, it's like playing chess. You don't take your eyes off the knights. The nations are moving towards Israel, and this is the territory that the armies of North will possess. There are so many pawns in this game. Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely, because we're streaming towards more end time events, and we're going to see more of this. And don't forget, I think even the Ukraine-Russia war plays into that as well. I'm sure you know that, because those Russian armies are going to march through it in the end of the day. They're going to come against Israel. I mean, there's 13 nations that line up against Israel in prophecy, at least one battle, and they come at them, Russia being among them. So all of this is playing out right before our eyes, which is fascinating to me as a Christian. Absolutely fascinating. So, but just looking at it straight on, it's absolutely crazy what we're seeing happen. And it's like, it's like things move seemingly very slow at times across the prophecy platform. And then it seems like they speed up. And we're definitely seeing what it looks like. We're elevating the speed and intensity of what, at least playing that game of chess. That's a good analogy. But yeah. And if for nothing else, I will say we owe them big for 1979. We don't forget. They've never really answered for that. So if among this we could inflict some changes there and say, God bless those from 1979 that you held and tortured and did all that, then one of my favorite movies is The Godfather. So there is that side of me I have to watch. It's like I could see Trump in the war room, big stogie in his mouth, going, "Yeah, they look what they did to us in '79. Take that, you little Ayatollah." Russia-Ukraine peace talks in Dubai are underway. I guess just we've become really big friends with them as well. So, it's a resort place, man. They've got the resort things going on. They're gonna throw the big party. I do think that little man is really close to wanting to make a deal. He seems like it, but he always throws something in there that sticks in it. The question is Russia even ready to make a deal? I don't know. But there are peace talks going on. Russia says no foreign soldiers of any kind in the land are to be a war provocation. So this whole idea of a peace force, he says, no, not going to happen. So there's a lot to work through. But that's the way it always is. At some point, Russia needs to make a deal, unless they're just going to go on the offensive and just hit NATO head on. They're going to have to at some point pull back. I mean, because they're just not going. They say they don't want anybody because it would be a NATO threat if anybody's there, and they would consider that an act of war. They don't want Ukraine to have but so big of a military anymore. That's another kind of sticking point. And I'm sure they will reject any kind of air force or anything. It's not that they have much of one, but drone capability and all that, they're going to push for that to be reduced on the Ukrainian side. So Ukraine is less and less has any kind of footing to put up and say this is what we want because they're losing support pretty quick. It's failing them pretty quickly now. The president is about to pull the plug, and he wants a deal. So he's trying to get Russia to a deal. Then they would just take in little man, sit him down, and say sign. That's what's going to happen, or we're pulling everything out, and you're on your own. So I think that That's a great question. Do you think America would portray Israel? I cannot find our nation in Bible prophecy. It troubles my spirit at times. Uh, I think the timing of that, Daryl, is related to catching away. At some point, the answer would be yes. At some point, I think that the dominance, the military super country status we have is diminished greatly. And at that point, we become less of a world power. And yes, whatever was left, the vestiges of what we become, certainly. But I think there is enough elements within the nation that, depending on future elections, which I think are not going to be good for us, I do. I think Trump was in place. If you're just looking at it purely from a spiritual prophecy kind of way, I think Trump was absolutely put into place to allow some final, end times pieces to come together. But we just have a country that's turning away so quickly from God, and they're radicalizing a lot of our populace, and they don't it's just different, man. And the old guard of America is diminishing. And you look at so many states that have already flipped over, and they're radical. They're radicalized states. And even in the state I live, it is teetering, man. It is becoming a blue state quickly, and they're going to vote in a lot of the same stuff. They'll be the California of the South, in the South. It'll be. I'm telling you, that's how bad it is here politically. And North and South Georgia has been able to hold the line, but that eventually is not going to work unless because we just know the issues we have here. But you see that across the United States, so many states, and the influence of the cities, So I think there's a lot in that. But I just think that as a nation, they're going to be coming at Israel pretty hard. I mean, we see that in prophecy, and how quickly that would happen. I don't know. So anyway, I got to run, guys. I really do. I got to help my wife, and I got to get the kiddos to school. Thanks so much for stopping in. Thank you for the support of the Southern Patriots podcast. Tonight we'll be on with a couple of shows. Saturday, Dusty will be on, who was in here earlier. Dusty interview Saturday morning with him from Ohio about his racing team, and look forward to talking to him. We've met and talked online, and he's good fellow, and we look forward to that with Paul and Dean in the house. And yeah, I heard Dusty, and looking forward to talking to him. That's true. Absolutely, Daryl. And Dusty will talk to you either before then on the show or in the morning. So have a great day out there. Well, I appreciate it. We can't either, man. You're a good dude. And thanks for coming on the Southern Patriots podcast on our racing hour. Special programming on Saturday, just for the intents of the interview. We might throw in a couple of things about the race that happened. Boy, that was a mess. All that rain. But thank you for watching. Thank you for support. We'll go out with some music and stick this in your head, so it'll be stuck in your head for the rest of the day. I've been accused of that. That song gets in my head. So maybe that's the intent. I don't know. It came out pretty well. Take care. We will be seeing you soon. If I don't see you here, I'll see you in the air. If you don't know that Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior, make the day of salvation. Rededicate yourself and center yourself on the Word of God. Rocky times ahead, but if we're in the hands of Jesus, we're okay. We can't lose. So take care. God bless. We'll see you soon.
Wake me look at life for the southern people like a small town, nothing's real. Mama's still doing wrong, don't tell the preacher. Nothing really changes except